have plenty to address that with, but that would be my first question is that unknown risk that still in China this stuff is, not that it couldn't happen here, but we got a legal system that protects a little more against that.
Very, very valid question. That was the sole purpose of me going to China in 2014. Couple points really stood out when I was over there, meeting with we went to the Canton Fair, which is the world's biggest exports fair, and we met with one of the biggest companies, Sanju. They're huge. They just purchased a pharmaceutical company for $900 million.
And Sanju does?
Herbals.
Herbals, okay.
Yeah. So we're dealing, and that's the transition I was trying to convey in our presentation, short on time. That's the transition that's been taking place in the last 5 to 10 years in China, the trend towards new technologies and regulations. Okay. So when I visited these facilities, there's several things going on. The major concerns, one, was pesticides, because these are naturally growing products. And the second was binders. They use certain binders for these herbs, especially in a granular form that holds it together for concentration purposes. So when I visited these facilities, that was on the forefront of my mind, because that is, if you can't overcome that, you're not going to be able to sell your product. So they regulate this in several ways. One is GMP certifications, and that's on a national level, which is the good manufacturing practices. Okay. And then there's a new one, which is really good, is the good agricultural practices. Large companies like Sanju, they monitor all the way from the botanists to the planting, harvesting, and granulating. Whereas before, historically, they went to different farms and they bought the lowest, the cheapest ones. They bought Dongwei over here for $20 a pound and over here for this much. They put it all together and granulate it. These companies no longer do that. They're directly sourced from one source.
So is it just in China that you can get these herbs, or Vietnam, Thailand? I mean, what's
yes, so a couple of years ago, even right now, everybody's like, no, get herbs from Taiwan. And the funny thing is that all the herbs actually come from China. Taiwan's this big. They come from the mainland. So majority of herbs are coming from China. And what's happening, the reason people were saying Taiwan, because they had good quality control. It was one level of screening. So what it's getting screened for right now is pesticides and for the fillers. What convinced me was that these companies are all ready for third-party testing. As we all know, historically in China, you can pay somebody off and they'll give you a certificate. So for them to be ready and also have done third-party testing, that was my confirmation.
Okay. Now, are you selling direct to consumers only, or do you have a B2B angle to sell to spas or hotels? And a follow-up to that would be, right now, who is your ideal customer, where you want to put them in a petri dish and study them and grow that customer?
Our target market is practitioners.
Practitioners.
Because they're the ones who write the formulas.
Okay.
So as a practitioner, that's the good part, was I am a practitioner. We love to prescribe herbs. We know how powerful it is. It's 50% of our practice. We do acupuncture and herbal medicine. It's 50% of our practice. And we want to prescribe herbs, except those factors. It's time consuming, you can't make money from it. So they don't have incentive. They don't have incentive to write formulas. We do it for free.
Okay, so it's only to practitioners. It's not like a consumer couldn't.
Phase one.
So our phase one is targeting just practitioners and helping them kind of be the middleman as well to help us sell more to patients. We have another phase with a technology that we're going to build. We want to be able to have patients do self-diagnosis and change our market. So, but those are additional features that we're going to build down the line.
Got it.
We have to make sure, though, that it's very safe, because these herbs in the wrong dosage or taken the wrong way can be harmful as much as helpful. So we want to build a diagnosis tool even more. So, because we already kind of, our market is practitioners. We know their level of what they know. They know these herbs. We have information for them. But we're going to have to build that into even more detailed for a consumer who doesn't know anything about what the name of these Chinese herbs are. They're going to go through a differential diagnosis, hitting each part, and then it will come and give suggested herbs. and more warnings and indicators for them.
Okay, so now your background is computer science?
Yes.
So everything is built internally by you?
Yes, for the most part.
For the most part, and software is never done, right? So
Exactly.
it's always a work in progress.
Exactly.
But what improvements do you have kind of on your bucket list that you guys want to?
Sure, I can go
out the time.
giant list of the next 2 years. But yeah, so basically we're doing, like I said, we haven't even gotten live technically yet. We're kind of doing a beta thing with a lot of the local people and people we know. We are doing a redesign to make it easier and adding a few more features, and we're going live very soon, with the next couple weeks. After that, we're adding more herb info, more indicators, a lot of features on the admin side to help us fulfill those orders faster, more quality control in there. I've already built like an inventory system, so we're gonna have an entire shopping cart.
Okay. Does advertising play any role in your revenue model?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So just to
touch on
follow up on the previous question, right now our target market is 27,000 practitioners.
Okay.
We had to work backwards on the market size. The CAM industry size is 34 billion. It was very hard to find out how much of that is Chinese medicine. We had to work backwards. So we took 27,000 practitioners, found out their average salaries, then we found out how many patients they see per week. And we've been doing this for a year and a half now. We have a clinic and a pharmacy, so we've got real data. We found out of those practitioners that we allowed to use our service, how many orders they're doing per week, and what the average cost of their orders were. So we worked backwards. So our target market was 27,000 practitioners.
In the U.S.?
In the U.S.
Okay.
That's phase one. Phase two is the U.S. population, because what we're doing is we're streamlining that process, whereas a practitioner would do a full intake and click disease, and then they'll give them the formula and then the dosages and so forth. We would ask you, do you have a cold? Yes. Then we'd ask you the correct information. Do you have a fever? Yes or no. Sore throat? Yes or no. They would answer these questions, and it would say, this product is best for you. And it would get shipped to your house.
So is there, with herbs, the FDA is involved?
This is where we're in a very unique position,
Right.
in a good position. It's considered food. I just did taxes, and we didn't have to pay taxes on the raw material.
Huh, interesting. So just like if I was to go on a GNC and buy a certain protein or whatever, it says, whatever they say, it's, it's not backed by the FDA. Okay. Well, so the 27,000 practitioners doesn't excite me, but going to the direct consumer does.
Yeah, same with us.
And
Such a million.
on top of that, you can have the app aspect of it where you have the advertising and you could then send them to the practitioners if needed.
Consultation for a price.
I mean, there's an app called Weed Maps. So
Can I talk to you about Weed Maps?
Well, I know the guys that started it.
Do you know Tommy Stevenson?
I don't know Tommy Stevens.
He's the CTO of Weed Maps.
He's our
Okay.
advisor.
He's our
Oh,
advisor.
no kidding. Okay.
Yeah, he's a.
I know Doug and
Oh yeah, Doug.
and Justin. Yeah.
Ask him about San Diego
Okay.
Herbal Medicine. They're 10%. Tommy Stevenson's the CTO of Weed Maps.
Okay.
Is going to be 10% owner of this company.
Okay. Well, then that's great that you guys found good partners and advisors in that, because I'm not going to disclose how much they make in revenue from advertising, but it's a lot of money. And they never have to take any investment. They started making money immediately. So if you're
That's a small
replicating
world.
that model,
That's
Yeah.
but then again, I don't smoke marijuana. I have nothing against it,
Yeah.
but that is a much bigger market
Absolutely.
than
If you're not direct
Herbs.
to consumer, it makes a lot of things make no sense.
But I do have a
You know,
point
but-
on that. It is a large market and it's easier to sell. But if you look at the numbers for how much herbal medicine was taken for the common cold, the numbers are astounding. The use of just the basic herbs. Why is echinacea, ginger, and golden seal? We have thousands of herbs, Chinese herbs that are way more powerful. Why is echinacea, golden seal, and ginger dominating 90% of a $2.8 billion industry?
marketing.
Yeah, it seems
Yeah.
like every year there's one herb that takes off and
Yeah.
really
We have
does, and
thousands
We
of
have thousands, so we're uniquely poised for that.
So you're the CTO.
Yes.
You're the CEO.
Yeah.
Have either of you been CEO or CTO before?
I've started businesses before.
Okay.
I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, but I have background in business. I've opened a health food store, cafe.
Okay. How did that do?
Good, it's still working.
Okay.
Yeah, I was one of the first people to bring acai into the United States.
Okay.
I totally missed that boat. I was going to distribute and do all that. We got too busy with other things.
Well, so and this is the reason I ask. It's fantastic what you guys have done. As the company grows, sometimes, there's certain types of people that are fantastic at the early stage, but they're not at the public company stage, and vice versa, right? So you can't drop a guy who's CEO of a company doing $700 million revenue into an early startup. He would have no clue what to do. Probably would not. And similar, you can't take the guy from the early startup and put him here. So as you start growing, do you think that you guys would be the right people to continue growing it as a CEO or CTO? Or would you look to say, okay, we just want to build the best thing possible and we're founders of this company. Let's find someone that could do this better than me.
The latter,
Okay,
obviously.
okay.
Absolutely. Would
We've
you
thought
agree?
about that, and we've become kind of torn, but I do really think that we are in a unique position with our skill set and knowledge that we wouldn't have to really bring in anybody else to run those positions. An advisor, absolutely. But if it did ever get to that point, we would be perfectly fine, letting someone else take the reins who's more experienced.
And then in regards to your exit, right? I mean, you daydream for what's the ultimate exit? Are you thinking you're acquired in 2 years? You want to IPO? What do you guys want to do?
Depends which route we
We have
go.
a few revenue, different strategies and revenue streams that we have going on. Like I said, the direct-to-consumer is one of them. We also thought of, we're going to open this up, mix it with supplements and food.
Yeah. So we have
suggestions.
a long ways to go before our exit strategy.
So, yeah.
I don't plan on leaving anytime soon or dropping the company for a certain dollar amount or other opportunities. You asked us earlier what new features we're going to roll out. We've got so many features that I would like to see done, as long as it's good for the business, obviously, that I don't think that'll be anytime soon. We're looking at 5 to 7 years.
No, sure.
We would reevaluate at that time, but yeah, this is our baby right now, and we're going full into it. So.
And then you mentioned the guys from Weed Maps as one of your advisors. And then did they invest also?
Yes, they are.
Tommy's in the process.
Okay.
So our
Diane has the
presentation,
contract now.
we send it to them, our last minute,
Okay.
for them to clean it up and put all the graphics and make it. They did a good job, but very last minute. So Tommy is going to financially invest, and he's going to be working with David, but more with me as on the marketing side.
Let's before we get too far off the topic of exits, that's a nice segue. The 10 minutes are up. Please, entrepreneurs, go find your next meeting. Naveed, your next team will be in here in a few minutes. Okay. Thanks.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you very much. Naveed.
Nice to meet you. I'll tell the guys to say hi.
Small world.
Yeah, it's very small.